big giant orange gun.
Right. Let's play it with you.
Right. Now mine was an off-brand system, so mine looked like a gun, but had a big giant cord dangling from the bottom. I was trying to fix it so I can get it to play. She goes, "And what's this?" And she clicks it a couple times. I said, "It's a video game gun for duck hunt." She's, "That's a violation." She picks it up, she sticks it in the bag, and she goes, "I'll see to it that I bring you to court for this too now." We got into court, and the judge was looking at it, and he goes, "And your evidence for Mr. Cussick's violation?" She goes, "This right here." He looks at it, he goes, "Okay," and he's supposed to stick that cord in his pocket and fool who now? She goes, "Well, if kids are around," he goes, "if kids are around, they might think it's real." He takes one look at it, he goes, "And they're going to think it's real because the cord's in his pocket?" He goes, "That's not a violation. Get him out of my courtroom." He almost threw it again, just about threw it against the wall. He was so mad at what she was trying to do to me. He goes, "This is not a violation." He said, "Mr. Cussick, you're free to go. I give you 90 days time served." See, what he did was when he gave me 90 days time served, the reason why he gave that to me is because just to make her happy, to feel like she got something when she really didn't.
All right.
So it's just a bunch of stupid stuff like that which got me violations just because of little things. Now, the only real thing that I got a violation of probation is when I met my boyfriend at the time when I was a fruit, and I had this box in my room, and it was a box that they hooked the phone to. They bought the phone and everything. It was hooked to the satellite so that they can call me if I'm not home or whatnots. And then when I finally get home and they see the box connects to the tether, they can call me and ask me is everything okay and why was I late or why wasn't I home right away and things like that. Because they gave me permission to go to church services and stuff. And she almost stopped my tether agent. And she almost stopped me from going to church at one point. She goes, "So you were late and you can't go." She goes, first off, and who said you could have this telephone on there? I said, "Well, there's a bald guy." She goes, "Who?" I said, "That guy as he walked by." And he goes, "Yeah, the boss told me to put a phone in his room." She goes, "Well, you could still go to church, but that's all." And so what happened was I went to church that day, and I was talking to my boyfriend on the tether phone. I called Grandma and everyone on that phone called Mom and everyone else on that phone. I didn't care. It was a free phone. So
I was with you.
this was when I was living on Sen Street before Frank opened it up for just the bottom. I used to live upstairs in the water room. Yeah, you were my friend at the time, I believe.
Yeah, I was there.
Because we've been friends over 16 years.
And I turned around and I said, "Andy, go back to your probation officer, go back to the court. Someone definitely wrong with you."
Well, you didn't know anything about the probation officer at the time, but you knew I was on the tether.
Right, but I remember I'm going to give you a ride to court or something. I just know something came up.
No, my mom actually gave me the ride to court. That I do remember. She gave me all the rides to court when I needed them.
I remember that you mentioned it before.
But anyways,
well, that happened 2 or 3 times. So
right. But anyways, I was talking to my boyfriend at the time, some big old dude. Right now, if I was still that direction, Steve, he wouldn't be anything I'd be interested in. But back then, I was so addicted to it, I didn't care as long as I had a boyfriend. And so I was talking to him on the phone one day, and he says, "You got to come out and see me." He says, I said, "Well, I'm going to try to, but I'm on this tether and my tether age." He goes, "I don't care. You got to come see me." He says, "It's okay that you're on that stuff." He goes, I don't care. I'm not gonna judge you." He says, "You're my boyfriend. I love you." I said, "Yeah, I love you too." And so after going to church on that Sunday, I went over to Ayton Gratiot to have a little romantic date at White Castle area. We got something to eat and we were talking and time left me at that moment. I looked at my clock and said, "Oh man." I said, "Shoot, I'm almost 2 hours late. So I said, I got to get home. So I flew home on the bus. I saw him off to his bus. I flew home on my bus. I get home, the tether connects to the box, and there she was calling me, and where are you at? I said, I'm home. Why? She says, well, your tether just hooked your box. You're 2 hours late from church. I lied to her. I said, the bus broke down. It was a flat tire. Call the bus company. Because I figured that because somewhere down there on Gratiot, a bus broke down because they ended up calling on the phones on the bus, and the operator said that the bus did break down. So it was. Go ahead.
You're by White Castles. There's like 3 or 4 different churches around White Castles there.
Yeah, it wasn't my bus, but it was a bus, and so technically I lied to get away with it. And I said, you call the bus company, and they'll tell you that the Gratiot bus broke down. I mean, she never did, but she said, well, I don't believe you. I said, well, fine, don't believe me. But I lied, and God knew that I was lying, and God knew at that moment, Steve, that I was a baby, and that I was still growing, and that I needed more time, and God knew that. It's just like the old saying goes, God's still in the kitchen cooking on us. We're still in the oven.
Andrew, what brought you to Christ?
What brought me to Christ was the simple fact that, let me give you a little bit more about this first, because this ties into my about coming to Christ anyways. When I was a kid in the youth homes and stuff, in the boys' homes I lived in, I always thought to myself, you know what? I thought one day, I said, I'm going to go to church one day. I said, people go to church and they listen to this guy talk, and I said, that sounds kind of okay. It sounds kind of interesting. I'm bored anyway, so I might as well go. And so the preacher's preaching. He says, it's important that you continue going to church. He basically was telling us that we need to be in church every Sunday. And so I said to myself, well, if this guy thinks we need to be in church on Sunday, and it was nice in church today, nobody tried messing with me or tried to hurt me in any way or do whatever, or tried to tease me or nothing. I said, everyone's nice here at this so-called church. I said, I'm going to keep going, I guess. I think I should go every Sunday, and I never missed a Sunday because of a ritual, because I thought it was the right thing to do, because I thought that I had to do it, because I thought that if I kept going to church, I'd get out of here. And people say, oh, yeah, he goes to church, he's a good kid, and we're going to let him out. And that never happened, but I continue going to church because I thought it was right.
Was that Macomb County, Utah, or Adrian?
Macomb County. And it's not because...
What did you go with? Right? Yeah.
What's
that's
that?
Right. Yeah, I used to work in Macomb County, Utah.
Yeah, you told me. I was in there in 97, though. But it's not I went to church because that God wanted me to, but it's because I had to. It's not because I loved God and I wanted to worship God. It's because I had to go to church. I thought going to church would do me absolute everything. I thought going to church would be the best idea for me. I thought it would be great, and everyone would like me. He's a good kid. I like him. He goes to church, kind of a deal. I was thinking about myself, Steve, high and mighty. You ever had that big head syndrome?
Right.
Where you think you're Mr. Good, and you are going to church, and God's going to love you because you go to church. And so later on, after all that, I realized that, because, throughout the years, I would go to church for when I would go to Havenwick Hospital. When I went to church. When I went to Adrian Training School, I went to church, And then finally, when I went to jail, I was in the security ward where they locked me down for 23 hours a day and give me 1 hour to shower, roam around, get a little exercise, and they lock everyone else down for my safety, because I used to get beat up a lot. Go ahead.
But the question is, how did you go to jail? What for?
I'll tell you that in just a minute. But They used to lock me down for my safety because all the inmates used to beat me up and stuff. Now, I went to jail because of a little thing called hearsay. You know what hearsay is, Steve?
Yeah.
That's like if I went, and forgive me for saying this is not true, but hearsay would be if I went and told everybody at work that my buddy Steve was gay and they believed me. That's hearsay. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's
But
me saying something about you that isn't true.
Like, for instance, your situation was different. And what I mean by that is that you're playing, you know how people play doctor?
I
And
understand
young
where
kids?
you're going at.
And, that's the case. I'm just as guilty as playing doctor or house or where you want to play at young kids at a young age, acting stupid because we're just stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
You
understand.
know,
I wouldn't exactly. Go ahead.
But they took it. That mother, in your case, took it two steps further. You know.
I would say.
How many young kids sit around and kissed each other or got naked or did stupid things like playing house or doctor or whatever, but it wasn't rape. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't this and that. 'Cause, you're young. And you're 8, 9, 10 years old.
I was 12 years old at the time.
Maybe at 12. But the girl. Well, I think she was 10 or 11. I remember you told me the story. But the point was that it really never. The mother exaggerated, but the problem was, I remember what you told me before, that she'd done this before and took us 2 steps further with someone else. Young man got away with it.
Here's what I was going to say. Number one, she never did this to anybody else. The mother, of course. Number two, I wouldn't say exactly doctor or house playing. It was just more and less. Because nothing actually physically happened. Like, she said all kinds of things that I went and did something to her. And if she would have took a test and to see what went on, she would have found absolutely nothing.
Right.
Not a trace of anything.
Lie detector. Nothing.
Not just lie detector test, because when you're a kid and you're facing a cop and there's a lie detector test, that cop is you're gonna be terrified at that age. But if she would have tested the little girl and saw what really went on, there'd have been no trace of anything. They would have had no evidence. They'd had nothing. But since the little girl said that, even though the mom coerced her to say something that wasn't true, I got in trouble. But here's the thing, though. Yes, I got in trouble. And yes, there was another gentleman who used to walk up and down the street. I mean, she did. She walked up and down the street saying how she does it with her cousin every day. And he's not in trouble, but I am. But here's the thing, though. See, it's not that I got into trouble for something I did physically. It's I got into trouble for one reason. Because God knew the calling on my life. So he got a hold of me early. And what do I mean by that what do I mean by that, Steve, when he got a hold of me early?
I know what you're going. Go ahead, explain it to them how they got a hold of you early.
How he got a hold of me early. Let me ask you a question.
I'll say it this way. I'll say you had to go through things that you went through, even to preach this word now, to experience this word, and let people out there know that you ain't the only one, that went through this and that and that, because you weren't born gay.
No, let me ask you a question, okay? You're going down the road, right? You got the cars going beep beep beep. You got the wind blowing. Whoosh. You got people chatting. You got the radio going on. What do you call that?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. And just listen. I'm gonna let you explain it.
Okay, the horn is loud, right?
Yeah.
The radio music is loud. People talking is loud. Your phone conversations are loud. It's all noise. And so, if you got nothing but noise going in your ears, in one ear and out the other, can you hear God?
Nope.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. If you're rocking out to Christian music and you're a baby Christian, you're rocking out, say you're a baby Christian, right? You just got saved, say, about 2 years ago. You're still a baby Christian. You're rocking out to some hardcore rocking Christian music. Do you think